All right, cue the music. So welcome to a wedi shower, the Fundo Ligno. I always say it wrong, the wrong lingo. We're going to show you how to do the installation on a barrier-free, pre-sloped in-floor drain base for shower system. This is Steven, my lovely assistant, my Vanna White today. He'll be doing all the sweating and the hard work, and the mumbling under his breath.
Am I, Mike? Oh,
yeah, we can hear you. I'm Brian. I've been working with wedi for 4 or 5 years now, I think.
Yeah.
We've installed, I don't know how many hundreds of shower systems we've installed now and haven't had any issues. Worked with other products in the past, but I don't know if has anyone recognized me? Does anyone see me do any other work anywhere? No? It's good. You're in good shape then. No, so we do a couple of shows on HGTV. I think 7 or 8 different shows, 400 plus episodes for the past 13 years. So if you don't own a television, you may not have seen me, and you're lucky, one of the lucky ones. I don't just host a show. I'm certainly not an actor. I'm definitely not a model. I do own a construction company. We've got close to 60 employees. We're based in Burlington, Ontario. And we build a number of specs and do 50 or 60 larger renos every year. And one of the things that has been great about working on the television side is that when you watch the shows, there's a lot of editing. So you never get to see me make a mistake. You don't get to see every step in the process. One of the real big benefits is we get to meet a lot of manufacturers and see a lot of new tech and get to learn about new products. And because I'm in the construction industry and have been for 25 years, things we work with are important, obviously, for our customers, that we don't have to go back for warranty issues. Labor savings is a huge one, and product quality, obviously. So that's why we met and got to know the wedi products and teamed up with wedi here. The big difference in their if you want to say anything, you can just jump in. You just let me go. Big difference I've noticed in the products themselves is that the foam core itself, it's a strong structural foam, and it's waterproof 100% all the way through. So if you damage the surface, and it's a cementous coating on here to help with adhesion, but if you damage that, it's waterproof all the way through, so you don't have to worry about it. This system here, and there's a lot of different systems, and there's information over at the booth where you can get to know some of the other products. This is specifically a barrier-free product designed for retrofit installation into a home. A lot of people now don't want the curbs, but if you have an existing home and you're not building from new and you don't want to do a ton of structural work, it's hard to get in there and drop that shower floor. So this here is pre-sloped, 3/4 inch thick at the corners. Pre-sloped in here, works with large format or small format tile. So you can take a slab and cut it into 4 pieces. It's going to work perfectly here as well. Should we go to the next slide? The slideshow is going to be a surprise for me, so this is going to be fun. So we covered that. It's pre-sloped, internally waterproof. Let's go to the next slide. It looks beautiful. So you can do so that would be a retrofit installation. One of the things that you're not able to see here, and please ignore the cardboard and the duct tape. We're just doing that so Stephen can reuse the display model for more people to learn. The system itself, what you would do in the area where you want to put your curbless shower in, is cut out the subfloor in that area, block down 3/4 inch inside your joist, and put plywood in there so the top of your plywood is flush with the top of your joist. So you're dropping the floor 5/8, 3/4 inch. Next slide. Look at that. Well, that's the drain to base assembly. Okay.
Next slide.
Next slide. So there you can see in there how they've taken the subfloor up from the joist.
Next slide.
Next slide.
And then
here we go. So you're going to block on either side of your joist and just drop it down the thickness of your new subfloor material and put that subfloor material in between your joists so you have a perfectly flat surface. That is the thickness of your existing subfloor, lower than the rest of the room. So this pad here is designed and it's pre-sloped again, so you can drop that right in, and you now have a barrier-free access shower pan in a floor that wasn't structurally built to do a deeper pan originally.
Without cutting any joists. So we can recess the pan without cutting any floor joists.
Yeah, that's the big key, is you don't have to restructure, and you can still put the barrier-free pan in. If anyone has any questions too, just throw them out there.
What about new construction? Same procedure?
New construction? Well, new construction, there's 2 ways. There's certainly, you can leave the subfloor as is, you can frame the subfloor in. You could actually drop the subfloor and use one of the other wedi products as well. Any way you want to go. Typically in new construction, that is the idea. You would be restructuring and reframing, so you're looking at headers down below and dropping that floor section. With this, you don't need to. You just build your subfloor in the middle, just like that. So you don't actually have to drop the framing. You know, in a lot of production homes, you go in the basement, and it's been dropped in the section for the pan, so that reduces the requirement. So structural framing is reduced as well.
New construction gives you just a lot more options.
Yeah,
for sure.
You can do anything you can afford in new construction. So the first setup really is getting your subfloor in place and screwing and gluing and nailing the strapping on either side of the joist and dropping your subfloor in. Of course, locating your drain hole, getting your rough-in assembly in place. So that's your floor prep. And then you're going to adhere the drain to the base. So all the drain materials come with the package. And Stephen is going to demonstrate here with the wedi adhesive and sealant.
It's an MS polymer, marine grade sealant that we use to not only bond the drain together, it's what we're going to actually use to bond the shower together. So we don't use any fabric. This sealant will cure in about 30 to 60 minutes. It is an adhesive as well as a waterproofing in one step.
So the entire shower assembly, when it's done, you don't have to cover it you don't have to screed it or coat it again and cover it with a fabric or anything. It's completely waterproof, 100% all the way through.
So we're going to embed that drain in. We're going to then apply a rubber gasket and a fiber or resin type gasket for just so it doesn't bind when we tighten up. We're just going to tighten this up by hand. We don't need any special tools. One of the other things we do with our shower system is we offer the drain in a compression fit. The reason why we offer a compression fit is we don't need to be licensed in plumbing to do a glue-in fitting, and a lot of systems offer that. And we do the compression fit so that the contractor, the homeowner, can do all the work from the top down and don't necessarily need that license part to do the glue-in fitting. So once
we're going to imagine we have our plumbing rough-in under the floor.
Once you tighten it, you're then going to take a rag, and then you just want to remove this excess glue here. There's no reason for it there, and really what it could do eventually is it would actually might work and dam up water that's trying to flow after we finish the tiling. So we just want to clean that out of any residue.
Cleaned up. So now we've got our drain assembly adhered to the base itself. Our next step, Stephen, you okay? Next drain. So the next thing we're going to do is actually adhere that base to the floor. And a big difference we've noticed as well, and one of the reasons that we've fully invested in wedi and work with it exclusively through our company, is that the bases, you'll notice, are tough. I mean, we've driven over these with trucks to demonstrate it. But when you get into a shower and you put the base down, you're walking all over it, it's not protected properly, you've got your guys in and out of there, you come back and a lot of the base systems are all over the place. Obviously, skill and time doing a mortar bed or something like that, a typical mortar bed, which we don't see a lot of anymore. It's going to take a few days. This system, by the time he gets this thin set down on the floor, and of course we're going to coat the back and back butter the pan itself, then drop it into place.
Can you just pull
it's
it out?
installed. Get that out of the way for you. You gonna back butter this one too? We're just gonna pretend a little bit. So obviously the cardboard is just there so we can get it up. So don't install the cardboard under the shower piece. No duct tape in the shower. Just a demonstration. But in talking about the strength of the panels as well, when you'll see we get to the construction panels that go on the walls, in between that joist spacing, when you press on them, they're solid. So you're not getting a lot of flex, so you're not having to push a tile in past where you want it to be, hoping it's going to pop back out to the right position. They're very solid panels, and walking on it while you're tiling the walls, doing the rest of the installation, is not going to dent it or damage it. So when you do go to install the floor, if you're not using large format tiles and you're using penny tiles or something really finicky, that floor is going to be perfectly flat for you as well. So you're not having to build that up with mortar, take extra time to do the detail work. All right.
So I'm just going to spin that on the back.
So we're going for a little back butter. Are there any other questions? Yes. What about the size? There's a ton of different ranges available. There's additional panels that you can get to expand the sizes. Stephen can tell you that exact sizes that are available in the kit right now, and you can custom order as well, right, Steve?
Yeah, so with the Ligno, we have for 5 sizes, 3x4, 3x5, 4x4, 4x5, and 5x5, all at 3/4 of an inch with an ability with an extension to make it 6x6 in this particular design, to still retain that 3/4 inch thickness, because all our pans are pre-sloped.
And that's for the retrofit curbless base. If you want to go with a curb, you can get extra panels to build it any size you want, because it'll maintain that slope. And the great thing about this product as well, you can cut it down to any size. Obviously, you're going to notch through the cementitious coating and make this notch on the side, which you'll see why that's important when we get to the wall panels. And you cut that open, of course, it's still waterproof all the way through, and you can adhere your other panels to it. We'll show that once we get to the walls. Team's doing a fantastic job back buttering.
Do you want to explain why we back butter?
What's that?
Explain why we back butter?
Well, we're coating both sides, so we're going to get full adhesion on the floor. You want to prime this side to get a bit of moisture into it as well. So when you put it down, it's not going to suck the moisture out of the mortar on the floor. We're going to get full adhesion of that pan all the way across. And once he's done with this, we're going to put it into place, stomp on it. Typically, you'd put some bags on it, bags of mortar, weight it down, let that set a little bit. For the linear drain, in the Fundo Ligno, it's the center drain, just because we've got limited space to work with the pre-slope, being a retrofit. With some of the other products, you can do linear drain, center drain. You can do a wall drain system that's a hidden drain. So there's a ton of different options.
We only use modified adhesive. So all our products install with a modified system, which is usually a question we get asked as well regularly.
How many people have installed a shower system? Nobody? Just one? Well, the difference between modified and unmodified, one has latex additive, which is the modified, and it's a much better bond, it's much stickier, it sets better. The unmodified will set without access to oxygen, but it tends to come loose and doesn't have a great bond. So most guys enjoy working with a modified thin set, correct? All right, so we're going to dance a little bit. Now, assuming our drain rough-in was in there and sticking up through the hole, you want to do that first, or?
Yeah.
You're going to take your rubber collar. You got it there? Okay, apply thin set to the back of the base. There we go. And it's back buttering. This is a great slideshow.
I made it.
You made it. It was good. All right, so now we're going to tighten the gasket to the drain pipe. So we've got the drain pipe sticking up through the drain in the floor, obviously. The gasket is going to go over top. Then we've got a tightening ring that tightens down. That's it. Our drain assembly is connected. The drain itself and the rough-in is at the lowest point in this floor and pan assembly. So any water running down, you're not going to hit anything, and that's why Stephen was saying to clean up the adhesive around the lip so you have nothing blocking any water underneath the tiles or in the mortar bed itself from flowing down directly into the drain.
So we'd want to wait 30 minutes before we can put the drain the gasket in now. A little bit of dish soap on the inside and the outside will help with setting it in. There is a bevel to the top, so we're gonna compress that in with our thumbs and fit it in. But we want to wait at least 30 minutes before we tighten it up. So we want that collar to set up. But if we get the gasket in now before that pan sets, it's going to just give you that little bit of flexibility. So get the gasket in at this stage, and then you can wait to put this in later. You can tighten it in now just so you don't forget. But you want to wait 30 minutes before you tighten up. And we're just going to set it in.
We'll just edit this part out. We'll skip ahead 30 minutes. And we'll put the collar in and tighten it on the rough-in.
So this is a locking key. We take a flathead screwdriver. And the reason why we want to wait that 30 minutes is we're tightening this down to compress around that 2-inch ABS pipe we have. If it wasn't set up, we'd actually break the seal of the adhesive on the drain. So that's why we want to wait. So, but I always recommend get that gasket in now before that pan sets up, just in case it was tight. Maybe it wasn't dead center, it was off by a 32nd of an inch. It just makes your life a little easier.
The plumbers never leave the rough-ins off.
No.
Right?
And the one thing, one thing we didn't miss is that when we cut that pipe, we're going to cut that pipe 5/8 below the subfloor, because if you back up to one slide, you can see on the back of this shower pan, on this particular thing, there's sort of an extension on the reinforced brace. So this is actually sitting sort of in the floor itself. So, and everything that we talk about is included in our shower kits, on YouTube, and watching Brian on.
Yeah, you'll see it done a few times late at night.
or contacting me through through a website.
Steven's great. Half the time if you call him, he'll come out and actually install it for you if you stand there and ask questions and watch. It's pretty good.
And Brian will come if there's baking.
Yeah, well, I'll come by, depending on what's for lunch. All right, so we've tightened the gasket of the drain pipe. Now what we're going to do, one of the things that installing this system requires is the adhesive and sealant. And you want to always remember that if it's blue, it gets glue, essentially. So any of the areas, and you'll see around the side of the pan, are notched. So we've got the blue foam underneath. We're going to apply sealant to all of those areas. And you'll see the construction panels, the wall panels that are going to go in here, have the foam on the side as well. That's what creates the mechanical fastening of the two panels, and that's what is going to create the waterproofing in the corner. So once this panel goes in and that adhesive is on it, we're still going to screw it into place with washers to hold it. There we go. Down into the sealant. It's easier in a real house. There we go. We're in. So now that it's down, you've got the foam adhered to the foam itself. So you've got 100% waterproof there. What we're going to do is screw that out in the corner. And we're actually going to end up applying another bead of sealant in that corner and smoothing it out with the corner trowel. And when that polymer sets up, that is the waterproofing membrane itself in that corner. Just essentially as a second layer of protection because the foam is already bonded below. But that's what's going to give us that. So we've got washers and screws that we're going to set in, obviously, every 16 inches, 12 inches vertically.
So we're going to start the first one 12 inches up off the floor. We don't need to go any lower because the actual adhesive is bonding that joint. So I don't need any screws down low. I want to start 12 inches up. And we always want to put the first one in the corner so that now when I screw the board in, it's actually going to pull the board tight and down. So even though I've pushed it in very hard, this is actually going to mechanically pull it even tighter. Now everything that wedi supplies or requires is from wedi. So our sealant, screws, fasteners, all recommended and offered by us, all part of our system warranty. Now, we do sell a wedi sausage. We also sell it in a 10-ounce tube.
And the guns are exchangeable, so you can actually use the guns for the 10-ounce tube as well. They're actually probably the best caulking guns out there. We use them for everything. So you want to just sink it so it's flush or slightly indented. You don't want to drive it right through the panel. You don't want to leave it proud, obviously, for when you get to the tiling stage. Are we going to put all these in?
I can put a couple in.
All right. Because otherwise we'll start the music and speed things up.
They paid for 30 minutes.
Yeah, you did. Well, this might take a little longer. That's the magic of editing. You know, if you notice, if you watch any of the shows, that you never see me screw anything up, right? Do you know why? It's the editors. It's nice on television. Trades are always on time or early. We're always ahead of schedule. We're always under budget. The homeowners are always happy. It's great. And then I go to the real office. My editors aren't with me. So see, we're applying more sealant up against that corner and down along the side because we want to bond both of these in the corner together, and you want to bond it to the base itself. So we're going for panel 2. And remember, we're going to fill this in on every single stud. And see how easy it is to fix if you put it in backwards? You just spin it around. No problem. Now, one of the most important things that I always teach the guys before we get into doing shower systems is that it doesn't matter what type of panel or board or anything you have, your tiler will hate you if you don't straighten up the framing first. So make sure the framing in the shower itself is perfectly square and flat and plumb. And that way, when the boards go on and you fasten them into place, then your walls are as well. It makes the life of the guy installing the tile a hell of a lot easier. Because the boards aren't going to do it. So we're going to get some more fasteners in here.
Now when we put the fastener on the second wall, we don't want to put it exactly in the same spot as the other one, just in case you opened it up too wide. We just don't want to have that just full of sealant. We want the board to do the waterproofing. The sealant's there as a secondary layer, but the board, as Brian said, the blue foam is the waterproof. So we're an internally engineered waterproof product. So you can offset that a little bit. Get our second one in here.
It's a nice thing as well as these panels being waterproofed all the way through. It's not a matte system that is going to delaminate, that if you're stepping on it, walking on it, rubbing up against it, it's not going to cause an issue. You're not worried about any buildup in the corners, so there's not 3 or 4 or 5 layers of material in the corners to waterproof them. Same thing over the curb itself. If this was a curbed unit, you would actually adhere the curb to the base right across the front, and you don't have to worry about that buildup in the corners. Again, saving the guy that's doing the tile installation from having to build up the entire surface. So we'll get those in there. One more screw coming, and then we're going to put another bead of sealant in the corners, and we're going to cover up those fasteners and washers with more sealant. Nice thing about this system is that you can get in about 45 minutes, install the average shower waterproofing surround, and start tiling. We're going to cover up the fastener heads. I'm going to see if the next slide. Are we still there? No, we're not. That's past us. So we're going to put another nice bead in the corners and on top of all of the washers and the fasteners. And then my lovely Stephen will demonstrate with the corner trowel, flattening it out.
Now we want to have a minimum of a 1-inch bead, 3/4 inch on each side if possible, when we pull the sealant tight. 1/16 of an inch minimum thickness. Make sure all your screw heads are covered. Now if you accidentally screwed it in by mistake in the wrong spot and you had to realign it, you can just cover over that with some sealant, because this is actually also a waterproofing.
So essentially, once you've got all your fasteners coated and your corners troweled out, that's it. The whole system is waterproof. You can go take a break, have lunch, come back, and start setting your tile right away. What's the next? Okay, then we've got, I guess you're probably not gonna mud over the floor here. So preparing the shower entrance, where it meets the plywood. To do a barrier-free system like this, you also need a subliner. So this is going to go over the floor to waterproof the existing subfloor, so you don't obviously get water going through.
Yeah. So you have a couple options here. You could use wedi building panel on the floor. We do make a 3/4 inch building panel. So if you're doing a complete walk-in wet room and you have the ability to do that, you can apply wedi board on the floor. We are rated commercial heavy-duty underlayment. Traditionally, though, we're usually dealing with plywood, so we have a waterproofing membrane that will bridge from the shower floor out into the dry-off area. And for our warranty, we want it to be 3 feet outside the shower. So we want 3 feet out because water will wick under the tile and keep traveling through that thin set bed. So that's why we ask for 3 feet. Most people might ask me, I think you did earlier, just to do the whole bathroom floor, and then your whole space is protected. And some people even inquire about putting a secondary drain in the rest of the bathroom. Some provinces require that for barrier-free. Drain inside the shower, drain out in case that clogged up. So this is what we recommend. This fabric, again, it goes down with a modified thin set, 4 inches inside the shower, 3 feet outside the shower as part of our system.
We're not going to demonstrate that, though, because we don't want to make a mess. But it's all, again, on the website. There's tons of videos on there. There's lots of instructions as well. So protection of the floor outside, you can see it there with the subliner. So that's basically it. You're going to apply thin set on the drain base itself and run that subliner dry outside. Are we through it already?
In there. Yeah, that was the end.
Add some slime.
So not to minimize a shower install, but that's it. That is the step. So we're typically, a typical shower is done in, an hour, a couple hours max, depending on the design. Some of you, for your first time, you're going to watch the YouTube video, but we're ready to start installing tile on this system theoretically on what you just saw. So it's a very quick process. Brian does do audiobooks, play by play. But any questions on what you saw today?
There's got to be some questions. There's a lot of additional materials as well that come with this. You can get 2-inch thick building panels. There's a variety of thicknesses. So if you want to build a custom bench in here, We put a 9-foot long, amazing custom preformed bench in our shower that was made of the construction material and panels as well. It's structural. It's adhered the same way. You're going to waterproof your system, and you can use those panels to create whatever you want inside there. You can even build the walls around the shower with the structural panels as well, and adhere them into place. And it's done. So we don't have to go and coat this now again. We don't have to cover it. We just, like I said, take a break, let it set up, come back, and we can lay our tiles.
We actually have instructions in English and French and Spanish.
Printed right on.
You do overlap the seams. And again, one of the differences with ours is we're going to use that same wedi joint sealant to seam off that joint so water won't wick underneath itself in that space. Relating to what Brian said earlier, we have a lot of other products all made out of the same XPS foam, completely waterproof, having an R value of 4.3 at 1 inch. We also create a thermal break so we can be used under in-floor heating. Other advantages of XPS foam is we do not contribute to mold or mildew. So again, we're giving you a product that's waterproof, that's structural, that is beneficial to all wet areas that we build with. If you are building a bench, we're going to recommend you build it out of wedi board, not frame it in with wood that will warp and twist and bend and do all those things, but build it right out of those products. And we have a lot of those products already pre-made. This year we introduced a 4-foot floating bench that's just glued to the walls by wedi sealant. So very, very strong.
Yeah, the great thing about this as well is Stephen runs a lot of installation programs for pros. So you can come down and actually get certified to become an installer. Whether you're a tile installer or a plumber or a carpenter, the installation is pretty much the same. And with that compression nut for the plumbing, you don't have to be a licensed plumber to actually hook the drain up. So it's going to save a lot of time there. Time is money in the construction industry. If we have to wait a day or 2 days or 3 days for a shower bed to go in and cure and set and get ready for it, and then it's going to delaminate, it's a nightmare on site. If we can have a guy come in the morning, install the kit, start tiling in the afternoon, the customer's happier, they tend to write checks faster. It's very good. Any other questions? There's square drains, linear drains.
We didn't finish the installation.
Yeah, we did. See, we forgot about that. He's going to show you how to install the square drain. The nice thing with all of the bases, though, truly, is because of the way they're sloped, you can use slabs to finish the floor. You can use really large format tile. It's obviously not a hand-laid bed. Or you can use a small format tile, and it's a very solid structural base. It's not going to deform when you're walking on it, which is, I find, hugely important.
So we have an extension collar if we're using larger tiles that can be cut down to set the drain, and then our drain cover is just a decorative cover that sits on top. So whether it be square, tileable, round, we have lots of options. Now, square is the most popular these days because it's easier to cut around. But if you're doing a regular tile, a round drain cover actually looks a lot more attractive, and this just sets in. Now, if you have to adjust it, you could put a shim under it if you had to build it up a little bit, or use our extension if your tile was thicker.
You can trim it down. Nice thing on some of the linear drains as well, they've got stainless covers, or they actually have covers that will accept a piece of tile, so it's almost an invisible line in the drain. Or there's the wall drain system as well that you can put underneath a bench. So it's just a slit that runs underneath the bench. You don't even see the drain. So there's a lot of different styles. Again, at the booth, online, and in the paperwork, it's all explained there.
Yeah, so if you'd like some more information, you can come over to our booth in row 800. We have some printed material you can have, or we can scan you and send you some electronic. Other things.
Yeah, I wish it was more difficult and it took longer.
Any other questions? All right, well, I want to thank everyone and Brian for,
So you want to know how much is it?
Oh, how much is it?
What do you think it's worth?
You know what? As an engineered product, we are a higher material cost, but a significantly lower labor. So at the end of the day, I find that most people, when I explain the benefits, time savings, no mold or mildew, any size tile, this is the price that it is. It's not, I won't say that it's significantly more than other systems, but you have to know those benefits, because if you just compare it to something else, you have to understand that, other pans, you can only use a mosaic or do this or do that. So building, the wall board, if you're comparing it to a cement board, you still have to waterproof that. So you have to factor in those costs. So that's, when you're evaluating it, you're probably not going to find the cost much different. from the contractor's perspective, they might see the labor. There's a significant labor savings, which for someone who's really busy makes sense. For someone who puts that labor in their pocket, they might say, well, I'm losing money by installing wedi, but I would say that you're going to save 1 to 2 days on every shower. That means you can do more jobs versus the time it took to do the dry pack or another type system. So at the end of the day, most contractors, once they've tried this, just like any engineered system, they see that engineered products cost more, but save them on other levels.
So what are you looking at for an average 32 by 60 shower install? Ballpark, it's regional as well.
It's very regional,
yeah.
So I would probably tell you what the price in King Cardin is a lot different than the price in Oakville.
So one of the big benefits too is, back when I started, everyone was doing dry pack, and it's cheap, a couple bags of mortar and some piece of concrete board, roll of vapor barrier, but the amount of skill it takes, there's very little technology in that, and there's a lot of art. So I mean, in construction in general, it's a tradesman with his hands installing piece by piece. What this has done is there's so much technology built into this that it hasn't made it foolproof, but it certainly reduced the opportunity to make a mistake because the product is so well designed and so simple, and there's training programs as well available. So we find that we have a lot less callbacks, a lot less issues to deal with on the installation side where we have to go back to an install that wasn't done properly because this is such a simple system and because the training is provided behind it. So it's one of those things that's just worry-free. The shower system's going in, it's going to perform long-term, and it's worth its weight in gold. But
we offer a 10-year liability warranty on our showers. It covers labors, damages, materials, and for our pro contractors, we offer extended 15 and 20-year extended liability warranties. So not product warranties, but liability on the systems.
You're not going to get that on a dry pack. Yeah, definitely check on the website. If you're an installer or you have installers, set them up with the installation program, the training, to become certified installers. Because we have every product on the planet because of the television side brought to us, offered to us, shown to us, begged to give us, and it makes sense for us to work with the products that make life really simple. And on our retail construction side, I can sleep at night when I know that my guys on site have gone to install this system, and I'm not worried about someone doing a dry pack and the floor looking like a wet, muddy feel. I don't even know how to describe it, the old dry pack installations. Or even some of the softer foam products that get all bent out of shape during install.